two of my students, my younger students who were teenagers, tell me that they saw me on your TikTok channel.
Hello, everybody. From Frets and Fingers, I'm Alex Pickard, and you're watching the Jam Sesh. Today, we have the absolute pleasure of sitting down with local Ottawa musician Chris Zimmerman. A true musical force in our community, Chris wears many hats as both a professional musician and a passionate music teacher. From hosting lively open mics to captivating audiences at gigs across the city, his dedication to music shines through. Now, as he gears up to release his latest original track, All the Way Down, get ready to dive deep into the music world with us. Chris Zimmerman, welcome to the Jam Sesh.
Nice. Thanks, man. It's good to be here. That was a
Yeah,
great intro.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Well, thank you for being here. And just for the audience, we've known each other for probably a year and a half before this, just from open mics and whatnot. And, he was featured on the Do You Play Guitar series, and now why not have him on for an interview? So let's get started. So, yeah, before we get into this, could you just introduce yourself to the audience who may not know who you are?
Yeah, well, my name's Chris. As Alex mentioned there, I'm a musician. I've been playing in the Ottawa music scene for so many years, probably about maybe 15 to 17 years now. I've been playing since I was a teenager, playing drums in a number of bands. I've been teaching drums for about 15 years. And since about 2015, 2016, I've been also singing and playing guitars in pubs and also writing and recording my own original music and making a living through music-related endeavors.
Nice. There you go. And actually, we'll touch on that right away. So, how you tell us about how your journey as a musician got started in Ottawa. Is that where you started in Ottawa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned you played some. Sorry, I know you mentioned you played some drum, in some bands as a drummer, and then you started getting into the guitar. But kind of how did you flow through that? How did you get your gigs? All that kind of thing would be great.
Yeah. Well, my first band I played in that was playing gigs, we were doing a lot of Battle of the Bands. So, yeah, this would have been like 2007. That's so long ago. It was a different time. We all had press CDs and stuff back then. So, but yeah, 2007. I remember signing my band up for a Supernova Battle of the Bands, which was at Maverick's Bar, which I'm happy to see that it's, for at least the time being, that's still a venue that's still with us, because a lot of the venues I played that year are no longer around, but Mavericks is still around. So we played our first show in 2017 at Mavericks Bar with the band. It was called Far From the Trees. Featured a number of musicians, a few of them actually, I don't know if Kevin or Jess still play in bands, but Danielle Allard is a musician that still plays locally, and she was the lead singer of that band, and I was obviously the drummer. So we got our first show there. I think I booked it through Supernova. We played a few more shows. I think we won a couple of those Battle of the Bands. We won a recording project, recorded a couple songs. Played in a couple other bands, but yeah, we didn't really make any money to start out. It was more about just getting our feet wet, getting gigs, and yeah, getting kind of exposed to the performing and recording, and kind of building that. Fortunately, none of those bands went all the way.
Right.
They all kind of slowly. It's kind of how it goes with when you're when you're a teenager playing in bands. You're either kind of all in the entire time, or as you kind of grow, everyone's life goals, their goals change, which is expected.
Yeah, 100%. But now you got Chris Zimmerman and the Weather, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's running, that's still going, and you're releasing. Well, I guess this would be a good time to touch on it. Is you have your new, I guess it's a single. I don't know how to describe it. Like what we mentioned in the intro, All the Way Down. Do you want to give us want to dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, it's a single. I'm in the process of recording 3 songs, but instead of doing just an EP and releasing them all at once, I'm going to release them one by one which I'm told is which I know is the way people are releasing music more these days. So we're gonna give it a try and really push each song as it comes out. But yeah, all the way down is the first release I've had since 2020, which was just a quick little. I mean, the song I released in 2020 is called Mixed Signals. It's available on Spotify. You can, if you're listening and you want to take a listen to that and then compare it to some of my other music, it's like an outlier. Started recording it and realized it didn't really fit with the style of the EP back in 2018. So we kept all the tracks, and then during the pandemic, we kind of like revisited that and then Everyone re-recorded from home the parts that weren't yet done, which is basically everyone but me, as the guitar, vocals, and drums were recorded all by me, and then everyone else kind of did their part remotely, and so we could have something to do in 2020, because 2020 was special.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for 2020, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I don't think Mixed Signals would have ever been released. So yeah, all the way down. I'm getting off track already. All the way down is my first release since 2020, and it's been a long time coming. And the next three songs I'm releasing, they're very much show. In my opinion, they show a lot of growth in songwriting. And yeah, a lot of like I'm now when my first EP came out, I was probably I'm just like, let's just release something. Let's just write a song, first draft. Let's go spend lots of money and record it. Where now I'm rewriting all these songs, all these specific little parts, like a bunch of different times, and I'm super nitpicky about it. Even when it was all mastered and stuff, I was still messaging my engineer saying, it's like, I'm not sure I like my vocal take still.
Oh, yeah. And so where did you
Like,
record? Where did you record that? Because I saw that short video you posted on your Instagram reel, and I also saw it on YouTube last night actually. So where was that? So is that where where the video was shot? That's where you recorded the all the way down, eh? Is that like someone's studio? How do you go about that? And that was a really professionally recorded video as well, with like kind of like a interview in the midst of the video. Like it was well cut.
yeah, thank you. That was all done by. It was the same person who mixed and mastered. Oh, sorry, just mixed, didn't master. Who mixed and recorded the song? It was Eric Eggleston who recorded that video, and that is the studio where it was recorded. The song was recorded, and Eric is a really creative guy. He's been a producer and engineer in Ottawa for a long time. He's also has his own original project as well. And he's actually got a TV show on Bell 5, so he's really diving into video content as well. So I was very happy. I was also, when he sent that to me, I'm like, wow, this is next level, bro, sweet. I was very happy with that as some content we could use to push this song, and kind of getting myself excited about it as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if I remember correctly, you've played that at the open mics a couple of times, that song, and I remember being like, dude, like, what song is that? You're like, oh, it's an original. I'm like, what? Like, I was kind of blown away that not that, like, I didn't think you could write something like that, but it was just, it sounded so, like, I don't know, it sounded like a professionally done song, man. Like, it's well written, dude, for sure. 100%.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so when you're writing a
Yeah, no,
song like
it's
that,
I have played it. Oh, sorry. I guess there's a bit of a delay on Instagram there. Yeah, when I was, I played a lot of. It's funny, like people who come to my open mics, they hear these songs that I'm currently recording, and they already know the words. They know those songs better than the songs that I have recorded because I play them live so much, and it's very interesting. Like, "Run with You" is another song that's going to be released soon. That's not released, that everybody sings along with. And I think that just goes to show you I waited way too long to record these because they're already in people's heads. They're so catchy, but I'm like, I don't know. I think we get into our own heads as artists about whether stuff is ready or not. You know, that was definitely the case for me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You want it to be perfect, right? Especially since it's something you're releasing. It's your product as a musician, right? It's your business. You want it to come out good. So I 100% understand that. So how do you exactly like approach crafting your original music? I don't know if that's kind of too broad of a question.
Um, yeah, songwriting. I don't have a specific plan when I go in. Um, I usually just start with an idea. So when I'm trying to like come up with original music ideas, I usually like to start with the guitar, whether that's a cool rhythm in a chord progression or like a specific chord progression. Like all the way down was the first time the chord progression kind of drove the song as opposed to the rhythm or the melody. So I really started with, I had that cool that kind of like E minor with that writing on that high E and then going up higher to the seventh fret there, which I guess would be yeah, like E to A there. It sounded really cool with those open chords, so I really liked that. And then I wanted to find a chord progression that didn't start from the root note in the verse, and then obviously that E minor to A, just nice and simple. I figured that would be a chorus at some point, and yeah, to be honest, I went chord progression, um, then melody, and then lyrics for this one. But it can there's been other songs where I've gone the other way, where I have lyrics that I really like, and I'd like to I don't know, I got to find a progression for that. Um, but I've started tunes in many different ways. I just kind of you got when you're trying to be creative, it's like I feel like you don't want to limit yourself. You want to look at all options. That's kind of what I've done, and it also comes from a point of view where, like, as a drummer for many years, like I've been around songwriters. I've seen, I've been in the songwriting process later on, like when the songwriter like writes their lyrics, writes their melody, brings it to the band. I've been in that setting, but I've never been at the core start of writing. So it was all new to me. So I was learning as I went, and I still am. Um, but yeah, I feel like I'm talking way too much, but yeah, it can go in many different ways.
Yeah, well, no, that's it.
And
You're
craft.
supposed to. Yeah, these interviews you're supposed to talk a bunch because that's the point of these. So it's good. I'm glad you're giving us a bunch of information. And I think it's interesting that you kind of go. You have you can approach it from multiple ways. It's not just like a structure, which is good, I think. And 'cause for myself, I've never really written anything. I have like I think in the years I've played guitar, I think there's been like two riffs I've written that I'm like, yo, these like are not written. I've just kind of like come up with on the and been like, yo, these are sick. But no, I'm not able to like formulate an idea of writing a lyric. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't. I know things don't come naturally. Like I know it's like anything, everything takes work. You know what I mean? It's just practice, and you get better and better. But it's something I've never, I guess, taken the time to try out. You know what I mean? Like writing.
Yeah,
So
lyrics are lyrics are it's a different field. Like musicians were like music, harmony, melody, and then okay, a story. You're like, what? Like it is different, and it's almost it's the least musical part of the music, really. So it is really impressive when you find like good lyricists who are also great musicians and like great at rhythm, great at melody, and can sing really well. Because the lyrics, it's the one thing that doesn't really fit like every other part of writing a song. So it makes sense that you have trouble with that.
yeah,
That any of us would have trouble with that. It took me a while. Like I listened back to my lyrics in my first EP, and I hate most of them. I'm like, what am I saying here?
well, I guess you had to get through those, and yeah. So I guess for you, like in these three new songs coming out, do you feel like this is some of the best stuff you've done to date? Would you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I yeah, mainly because I think it is. People have told me it's great, and I think it's some of the best. But I'll learn to hate it.
Yeah.
I will always like be hardest on myself. I found, especially when, in this creative endeavor when writing. But honestly, listen, like seeing how these songs are coming to fruition there. Um, in like the lyrics themselves, the stories, but the melodies and the way the song is built, the progressions, and the rhythm. I feel like these next three songs are like it's a different level than my first EP, for sure, 100%. They like if you compare the two, they are it's a very different style, and it makes sense because my last EP was what would that be, like 6 years ago, 2018, something like that.
Yeah, 6 years ago. Yeah.
It was a while. Like, it was a while ago. Like, I'm a different person. I'm a different guitar player. I'm a different singer. I feel like I've improved musically in every aspect. So yeah, these are definitely these songs are taking it up a notch,
There you go. That's
and you can
awesome,
still
man.
stream them. You can still stream them for free. They're not any more money.
Yeah. Yeah, I was yeah, it was sorry, what was the last one? Mixed Signals? I think I was listening to that one last night. That's the name, right? Yeah, I was listening to that last night. I was just doing a little more research, kind of like ripping through your whole Instagram page to see what you had going on, just to see if I could come up with any extra questions. But are you the drummer? You were the drummer, or you are the drummer for your band? I need to. What's going on?
What's happening? In 2018, that EP and Mixed Signals, I had drums on everything. Up until these three songs, I was the drummer on everything, but all the way down, and the next three songs that are coming out, the drum tracks are all done by James Reed. So who's been my live drummer for uh, about 6 years.
Is he?
He put sorry.
Is that the guy from the open mic? Has he been to the open mic? Is he a guitar player as well?
I don't know. He's not. He hasn't. No, he hasn't been. That jerk. He hasn't been to the open mic. James, if you're watching this, come on out. Free Wednesday night. Bring a cup home. He lives in the country, so he wouldn't.
Okay,
It's
fair enough.
it's a little bit of a trek for him.
Right.
And he also works really hard. Like he's one of the busiest drummers in town. Um, yeah, and like that's one thing. Like I switched to when the reason I switched to singing and guitar is so I could play more. He just really stuck with drums and stuck with it, and now his gig schedules. It's not that it's. I still think I'm a little bit busier, but he's for a drummer, he's very busy. He's a very busy guy.
Okay. I always thought that I heard that drummers can you could. There's always gigs for drummers. Is that true, or is it is it a saturated market here in Ottawa, like in terms of drumming gigs?
There's always gigs for drummers, but if you're trying to make a living, uh, at least from my experience, Ottawa doesn't really have many opportunities. Well, that has changed. It's getting better with uh, uh, coalitions like Ottawa Music Industry Coalition, who are creating a lot of opportunities for original music, for paying opportunities for artists. But for the most part, if you want to make a living in Ottawa, performing, the easiest ways to do is play in the bar scene, and the bar scene is about 90% solo gigs. So drummers will get gigs. Like I play drums in a few bands that play in the pub scene, and during the summer I'll get more drum gigs, but during the winter it's pretty much all solo. So it is tougher to make a living playing the gigs, playing in all the bands in Ottawa. But if you just want to play in a million bands as a drummer, there's a million bands looking for a drummer that will take you on.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I guess like if you like in the downtown scene, like I feel like there's probably a few more, but like just the Heart and Crown, I know. Like I remember Friday, Saturday nights they had a full band. Yeah, but besides that, you're right. It's mostly like solo like performers because like you
It's
just
literally
yeah.
it. You take out the Heart and Crown, and there's no band gigs. Well, that's not true. There's just I don't want to throw shade at bars, but there's no well-paid band gigs.
Right. Fair enough. And then I guess
There
for
are-
another, talking about other gigs, you have like your open mic nights. So what kind of inspired you to do the open mic, and like what do you enjoy most about doing the open mic?
Well, that's something I always wanted to. I always wanted to host something like that. Like when I was back in like 2014, 2015, I was still just playing drums, so I was playing like 6 to 8 different projects, just trying to keep my gig schedule full with ideally, hopefully, paid gigs. Um, and like it looked really attractive to me to find like a weekly nights where we had a guaranteed paycheck and we can just bring out a bunch of gear and we can let other people play our gear and host a night. So the first open mic I hosted, I was just starting to learn how to play guitar and sing, so I hosted it with another musician who could sing, who could sing and do that part of it, and then I would bring out a drum kit and some percussion, and then help host the night. And we didn't make very much money hosting those nights, but it was like a guaranteed gig, which at the time was very valuable to both of us. Um, the open mic eventually got canceled because I had no idea what I was doing hosting at the time. I had no idea what the best way to promote it was, and I had no idea what to focus on to make sure people would keep coming back. Um, but the second time I hosted an open mic, I was doing it solo, uh, and from that point on, it was something that I enjoyed doing. I just enjoyed having like a weekly spot where I could show up and get to see like the regular crowd, people that would come back every week or come back once a month, and it was a special little community that was starting to develop. And then finally at the Currents open mic, which is at Poor Boy Pub on every Wednesday, as you know, we've finally developed a good following, and the community is very supportive, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I think Poor Boy, like I've been to a couple different open mics. It's definitely the best crowd, the best feel of an open mic I've been
It's the
to.
best.
Yeah, it's the best. I like that one, and the other one I liked was the one at the Lafayette, John Carroll's open mic. The only thing with that
Yeah.
one I found was that it started quite late, and for someone who starts early in the morning, I was having a hard time going to that one because you'd have to show up at least like because it was such a you'd have to show up half an hour early, or else you might end up like you're not going on till like 11 p.m. You know what I mean? Where I like at your open mic where it's like, hey, you see the list is packing up. You're like, hey, everyone, 2 songs, so we can just get everyone to play. Which I think is great.
Yeah.
And I haven't.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
learned the hard way.
yeah, I bet.
Once you realize that once you realize that first of all, people don't want to wait around so long to play. Like it's like, oh, cool. If you know it's 2 songs each, and you're in the eighth spot or the ninth spot or the 10th spot, it's like, okay, well, it's not going to be 3 hours. It might be 1 hour, but you're not going to be here all night waiting to play. And you're definitely going to get a chance to play. I found like the best way to run that is not to give everyone an extra song up front, is to like let the rotation flow, and then whoever's still around at the end, you can do 1 song each or whatever you have time for, but get through the rotation first and see where you're at. If it's a busy enough open mic, that's the only real option to make sure that everyone gets to play. If it's
Yeah.
not busy, if it's not the less busy it is, the more relaxed it gets. That's the kind of open mic where you show up and you play your 2 songs, and the host is like, "Keep playing, huh? Keep going.
Yeah.
Want to do 4 more? Yeah, whatever. It's all good. I'll be over here." Because there's only like a couple other performers, uh, just in the restaurant or in the bar or whatever. And I've definitely been to those open mics. I definitely hosted those open mics. But if it's busy enough, you just gotta keep it rolling.
Yeah, play a couple more. And I think it's good the open mics because someone like myself who loves playing live. Like I love going to like playing there. Like it gets whatever it does, it feeds that like urge. You know what I mean to want to perform. And being able to just go up, do a couple songs, and not have to do like a whole set, you know, because that's a bit of a undertaking, you know, to practice up for a whole set. Because I remember I used to do like full sets in Thailand for a little while, and like it was a big undertaking. You know what I mean? It's not nothing. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of practicing that involved, and as you know, like you do them. I know probably at this point you're pretty well-oiled machine, so you can go out and crack out an hour and a half set, no problem. But you know, it is a lot to take on. So anyways, to wrap back, it's nice to just have those two, three songs. You know what I mean? And maybe something you've learned recently, and you're like, oh, I want to try and perform this, you know, and in front of a smaller crowd.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and keeping on this topic, after I hosted my first open mic, that was like very, yeah, no one came. we didn't do. It wasn't that great, but I didn't know what I was doing. After that, I started actually getting involved in the open mic scene. Because I guess for whatever reason, I just thought if I said to all my musician friends who are mostly gigging musicians or music teachers, that hey, me and this guy are hosting an open mic, we're gonna have a full drum set, backline, bring your instruments, plug them in, that all the professional musicians would just be like, sweet man, we'll be there, we'll come out. But then after the fact, I'm like, well, how often have I done that? Like friends of mine have been hosting like a jam. Have I just shown up to their jam? Like pretty much 0 times. It's not necessarily what some people like to on their off days like to go and jam, like on stage. A lot of people would prefer to not do their job on their day off. And also the open mic was on Saturday, so everyone was gigging. It was a bad idea all around. But after that, I started getting involved in the open mic scene, meeting the people who were in it, and meeting the hosts, and that really helped like guide my next couple spots before finding a spot that eventually stuck. And I was kind of noticing each spot I was hosting, I was getting busier and busier and busier. So I'm like, okay, I'm starting to kind of like see what people care about and what brings them back. A lot of it is just making sure that they sound good, they can hear themselves, and that they're loud enough that everybody else can hear themselves over their own conversation. But at the same time, making people feel welcome to talk. It's not. I never have had any interest in going up to someone and shushing them at my open mic. That doesn't sound like a good time. I feel like you should be able to, if you're at a pub or a bar and there's an open mic night, you should be able to listen and talk. And I think that brings in a certain type of crowd. I think people come and they know they're going to sound good. They know that they can hang out and talk with the musicians. They can network while other people are performing. And yeah. So, get rid of that there. Yeah, open mics.
Yeah, and I guess one last point on the open mics, like, is there any unforgettable moments from an open mic where like someone just blew your socks off, or the audience was like really involved, something like this nature? You could say like my guitar playing was that, but like we can also just I'm just making a joke. You can whatever your story is, please go ahead.
You blown you don't. I mean like honorable mention to your that Fleetwood Mac song you always play. I'd always crank the reverb on there too.
Dude, you made that song sound so good. Like when I play, I'm like,
it was all me.
100%.
Yeah, it was all dynamite delay. But yeah, no, like obviously you've killed it with some of those. Of course, you'd always playing the earlier slots there early on. People are like they're ready. If you want a listening room at the Poor Boy open mic, you got to play an earlier slot. By the way, that's how it works there, because it starts to get rowdy after everyone's had a couple rounds. They start talking loudly. But has anything blown my socks off? Why can't I think of one? I feel like there should be many. There's been a lot of great moments. I think, and this is constantly a thing that happens. I think when the bartender, Allison, the bartender, Poor Boy, goes up and sings at the end of the night. I think the first time she sang, it was like, oh my god, this girl can freaking belt it. I was just like, it was the only performer that was, my board was like not clipping all night, but then when she was singing, it was like redlining, and I heard a little distorted. I'm like, oh god, okay. We actually have to turn the gain down because she's really projecting there.
Yeah, I
That's
didn't
one
know she
example.
sang. I didn't know she sang. That was interesting. I haven't been to the open mic when she sang, but I saw you post the video. I was like, oh okay, that was
Yeah, cause,
I did not
yeah,
know
because
that.
you work in the morning. You don't stay to the end.
Yeah, no, I'm gone by like I feel like it start. What time would it start? It started like 8:30 or something. 8:30, 8,
The open mic starts at 9. Like the
9.
sign up's at 8:40.
Right. Yeah, so I'd be gone
Yeah,
by 10.
yeah,
I'm always
yeah.
gone by 10. I'm that guy who shows up, plays, and then waits for two people to play, and then I go. Like, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I gotta do what I gotta do.
Yeah, yeah. No, you got the etiquette down to a science. You don't leave right away.
Yeah. Which is
It's like off the
there's
stage, out the door.
there's that one guy, Ted Cardy, man. That guy, like on a Wednesday, I remember talking to you know Ted there.
Yeah.
He was talking. He said he plays like 3 open mics in a night. Sometimes he'll like one time he was like, "Oh yeah, I just hit this one. I'm going to Redbird, and then I'm going to the Laugh." And I'm like, "Holy shit, dude!" He said he just
He
wants to get
has.
his he said he just wants to get his name out there as much as possible for his original music, which makes a lot of sense actually. Anyways,
Yeah. And that's a good way because I find I mean, you're not going to meet any like you're just going to meet people in the scene. So it's kind of, and I find this scene, people tend to support each other. Like we're all musicians and we tend to go to each other's shows, maybe a little bit more than other cities and scenes and towns. Um, but um, yeah, I'm just gonna mute this conversation here. Be quiet. I guess my internet's back.
there you go.
um, what was I saying?
You're saying you meet different people at the like mostly like within the open mics and
Yeah, no, it's a good way. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a good way to promote your music. But you are promoting to only other musicians in that scenario mostly. You're not promoting to just people in the bar. 'Cause the people at open mic night are usually musicians.
yeah,
But I think
100%.
those can be supportive people. People that are going to open mics every week are likely supportive people that would probably consider going to your show on a Friday.
Right, 100%. And I think most people, and also with the whole thing with the open mic where you're doing like the 2 songs, it makes sense because everyone is going to an open mic to play. They're not like some
Yeah.
people go to listen, but like for the most part, people want to get up and play, and they're not, that's the whole reason they're there. So yeah, not having to wait too long is always great. Um, but so like, what are some like challenges you faced, like I guess in your musical journey? It could be like from the open mics, but more probably just from your gigs or just like your musical career in general. What are some of those challenges you faced?
Challenges I faced. Um, well, early on, it was finding um, musical projects that aligned with my goals and finding creative control um, that yeah, aligned with what I was trying to do. A lot of the projects I was in early on, I was the only one in the project that was super super keen. Like I'm going to make my living playing music. A lot of the other people in the band were like they're going to school for like other things. Um, for example, the one band I was in, um, the singer is a very successful college professor, um, and yeah, like the outlook of the band wasn't necessarily to make a living with the band. It was more like let's just see where this gets us. Where I was like, I'm like, how are we gonna make a living off only this? You know, so it was a challenge finding projects that would align with that. And eventually, I decided that the only way I would get creative control is if I was the singer. So I didn't put down the drumsticks, but I put them aside for a little bit and focused on guitar and singing and songwriting, so I could have musical projects that I was the band leader in and had the creative control over. So I can make sure they align with with where I want to be, with what I want to do. Um, and that was definitely a challenge early on. Uh, yeah, and now I make a living doing it. So that was probably the biggest challenge. It was the biggest hump to get over.
Right. And that's fair. And you know, especially if you're like, hey, I'm trying to take this seriously, and you have other people, like you said, are just kind of in it part time, and I could see that being a hard thing. So, Chris Zimmerman and the Weather. So I understand like that your name's in the band title. So it's your band, and you have your a company. Is that how you look at it? It's kind of like it's your band, and you have your players with you, or is it like you guys are a band together? How does that work?
It's well, it depends. In general, with that, when you have that, you know, lead singer and then the band name, I do consider it like for the Weather, I offer the same musicians the gig first. Um, but yeah, and then it's like if a gig pays better, unless I have a specific agreement with a certain player, like the core group will always get the gig offer first, no matter what the gig is. But it's kind of like I own the most shares, so everyone
Right.
has inputs, but then I get to choose what to do. I want to hear what they have to say, but at the end of the day, it still is my choice. And the reason for that is because all the band activities, the bills all go to me. Like I paid for every bit of band activity, um, which is costly. It can be for sure. Um, but I do that for a reason. I don't want to be in a situation where everyone's paying the same amounts. It's equal, and I find without a clear band leader, sometimes stuff just doesn't get done. In in my experience, it's best to have a clear cut leader. And I've been in situations where like we've been a band together, we've all been contributing the same amounts of money into the project's costs, but there was also but there was still like kind of a clear leader that they seems to do with, you know, they're still the band leader, and that, for me that seemed unfair. So I wanted to make sure that like my band members, you know, they know that like I'm the decision maker, but I also want to make sure they feel like they're not being taken advantage of and they're not having to like pay for stuff that's they don't really have legitimate creative control in. Um, so for them, it's just like here's a band where you don't have to you'll get paid at every gig. It might not be much. You won't have to pay anything. You have to come to rehearsals prepared, but you won't have any creative control. So it's kind of like trading off, you know, the percentages of paying for band activities for you know not having to pay and then not having your creative control in a way. Does that make sense? I feel like
Yeah,
I'm
no, that
stumbling over that.
no, that makes a lot of sense, and I actually appreciate that. So it makes sense. Like you're leading like kind of the trajectory of the band itself, and you're making those decisions, and then those people are showing up and they're getting paid without having to put any upfront costs. It seems like it seems like a beneficial like relationship for everyone involved, you know. And like if these other band members want that type of creative control, then they can also, you know, have their own band. You know what I mean? Like John
Yeah.
Doe and the Weather. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Whatever it is. That's cool, man. I like that. I wasn't. That's what I was trying to. I wanted to ask you about that because I was kind of unsure because I kept seeing. I was like, hey, there's these four guys. I'm like, okay, who's? But it's called Chris Zimmer and the Weather. You know, it's like Mumford and Sons. I'm like, well, Mumford and Sons. It's like I think they were all equal partners in Mumford and Sons. But anyways, I digress. Talk about gigs. I would like to know. I asked this to everyone I interview. Everyone I interviewed. The other three people I've interviewed. It's still pretty new. How much money did you make from your first gig ever?
$0.
Nice. Okay. Sick. Or sorry, how much did you make from your first paid gig ever? That would be a better way to
Oh,
put that.
okay. Uh, 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 $20,
$20.
I think. I think it was at a place. A place was only open for like maybe 8 months before it got closed. It was called the Brickstone. It was on Rideau, right beside Steve's Music. Um, yeah, we played this random indie night, and I think the gig paid a total of $100, and there was 4 or 5 of us in the band, so it was like 20 or $25, and then we got an appetizer. We got one appetizer, so we had to share it together. So like, yeah, we'll get the nachos, and we're just like, eh. It's like one
That's awesome.
appetizer. We thought that was good too. We thought that was amazing. We're like, oh my god, they're paying us and they're giving us food.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's awesome. And so I know we mentioned before you're a music teacher as well. Sorry, I just want to. You're a drum teacher. You teach drums, right? Correct.
Yeah, drum teacher.
I was actually kind of thrown off when I first met you at the open mic, and you play guitar and sing really well, and then you're just like you're a drum teacher. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very cool. So I guess how do you balance your roles as a music teacher and then also like a performing musician? I feel like your schedule would fill up pretty fast doing that.
It does. It's very full right now. I had moved away from teaching at music schools until almost 2 years ago. It would be 2 years in next September, so a year and a half roughly, or about a year and a half. Where I had just been teaching privately, and I was going to people's houses, and then during the pandemic, we moved that on to online. But I decided to go back to once during the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, I was working. I was juggling 3 things. I was working for FedEx, I was teaching, and I was gigging. Eventually, and once I got rid of the FedEx thing, I needed like something to like replace that income and that time. So I decided to go back to teaching at music schools, and now I'm teaching at music schools 5 days a week, and then I have a 6th day where I'm teaching privately at the apartment here on my electric drum set, and then gigging on a lot of those nights. So it keeps me very busy, and sometimes it is a lot, but in general, the teaching shifts in lengths for the expectation for gigs, of time for gigs, and the expectations for teaching are not as big as someone working, like 8 to 10 hours a day at one job. So I'll typically teach 5 to 6 hours a day, and then I'll play a gig for, 3 to 4 hours. So when you add up those hours, it's like if I do teaching and gigs in the same day, it's like, wow, that's a huge day. I'm like, well, it's still 10 to 11 hours of work. That is a big day, but that's as big as it gets. It's usually like I'll work 6 days on one day, 5 on the other, then I'll have a gig, 3 hours, 4 hours. It does take a lot out of you. But at my older age, I feel like I've developed a little bit more of a tolerance for those longer days.
Yeah.
And a better focus. I used the 4-hour teaching shift used to drive me to the ground. I'd be in my car, like outside the music school, being like, I'm burned out. This is too much. I can't believe I worked for 4 hours. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Sorry, my cat's probably going to show his face in the pictures soon.
Yeah, you got a really cool cat, actually. Look at that. It's the mountain lion.
Yeah, this is a better. Yeah, we'll do this for a bit.
There we go.
Hey, stay still.
That's awesome. So I guess the music lessons are usually about half hour, right? Give or take.
Yeah. Half an hour, sometimes an hour. When I was doing private lessons, I pushed for the 40 minutes because I found that's a nice compromise. But I always found 30-minute lessons were a little bit tougher.
Just a little short kind of thing.
They're a little short, especially because as you're seeing when you do this interview, I get a little chatty and I tend to go off on tangents. I'll do that with my students all the time, and I'm like, oh my god, we have 10 minutes left in the lesson, we haven't done anything. Okay.
Yeah, let's get focused here. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's good. And like this is the type of I wanted these long form kind of chats so I could kind of pull as much like value out of them.
Oh, thank God, you're not gonna post the whole thing.
Oh, I'm definitely posting the whole thing.
Oh, perfect.
I post the whole thing and then I'm gonna split it up and make some reels from it and maybe make some shorter YouTube videos. Because I'm trying to get monetized on YouTube, which seems fucking impossible at this point. Excuse my language, but it's quite difficult to like. I've been trying just to attack this social media space 100%. That's like my goal right now. Look at this. Look at this Magoo.
This will help.
Love and life.
Help him get you more followers. Just show cats.
There you go.
What?
It's a male, right? Or is it male? Male?
Male, yeah.
Male, yeah. Yeah, he's huge, man. Like those cats get so big. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I thought my cat was big, but
Yeah, purebred Maine Coons.
yeah.
It's a luxury cat. I don't know why. Who I think professional musician. Why would I buy a cat like this?
Yeah.
But
Cats are nice to have,
I did it.
man. Like,
Yeah, I did it during I looked a lot into the breed, and I thought about going to Humane Society and getting a rescue. Of course, I mean, there's so many cats that need a home. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, I got so depressed when the last lockdown got announced. It only lasted 2 months, the last one, and then it was like, but I thought, I was like, this is okay, great, so this is never going to end. So I got him during that time, and I do not regret it, because he's been like true to the breed. He's a very gentle giant, is what the Maine Coons are named, and he's just a big fluffy big suck,
yeah. Eh?
intense and seeking, like pet me, and I'm like, I will pet you. This is good for both of us.
Yeah. Yeah, my boss at work, he had a Maine Coon as well, and he said it was like an awesome cat to have. But yeah, we have a whatever, I don't even know what kind of cat. It's just like a standard like copy paste cat we have. His name's Taco, and he's not copy paste. He's actually pretty. He's a cute cat, man. I love him. Never had a cat, and then when I started dating my wife, it was a package deal. So she calls me the stepdad. Yeah, I'm a stepdad. Apparently, that's what she calls me. But yeah, we'll talk about the social media thing. As I was saying, like that's what I'm trying. I've kind of gone away from like, oh, I want to do something with guitar, but I can't. Like I don't know. Like I don't think I have the. I'm not like, yeah. I just feel like I don't have it in me to be like. I don't know. I'm trying to figure something out with guitar where I can make money, and I don't see myself like perform. Like I would love to perform. I just don't see. I feel like I don't have the time for it right now. My schedule is pretty crazy at work, so I feel like the social media thing, I have like an hour at night I can just do some editing. It seems like the best way to go about it. I'm not just rambling here, like this is going to go into a question for you, but like for me, I've been like learning a lot about social media, and I've realized for musicians it's kind of like a huge thing, you know what I mean, like to really get your music out there. And I see you posting, and I don't know how much it helps for you, like when you post your open mic post saying, oh, there's open mic tonight, and you post like the reels from it. But how do you? That's going to be the question. Like, how do you utilize social media platforms to connect with your audience and promote your business?
Well, it's yeah. You really got to keep at it. And it's different from depending on, well, actually, it's not that different. For anything you're trying to push, you want to be, you want to stand out, you want to be unique. So I think keeping in mind that a lot of people are going to see your ad or see your post and be interested but not purchase whatever product or click on whatever you're trying to push right away. So keep posting, knowing that your target audience is the same. A lot of the same people are going to see this multiple times over and over and over again. You got to make sure you're not just reposting the same thing all the time, that you're changing up your contents. That's one thing that I've kind of learned as I go, that just kind of annoys a lot of people. And you'll get messages like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I guess I can do something. Because I haven't really been getting any calls for music lessons, so I guess maybe I'll do a few different videos. Like, I had a drum lesson ad up, and I keep meaning to do a little follow-up to the same targeted audience. that's more like the first one was an introduction, and I want to use the second one. I want to actually maybe have like it would be like a mini drum lesson, like welcome to your first drum lesson. Here's your hands, do this. But as far as the open mic goes, word of mouth is how the best way to get people coming back every week. Like I feel like if I didn't post about the open mic at all anymore, people would still come. But to get people to come, you first need to develop your crowd. So you need to pull people that maybe don't go to the pub regularly there. So you got to post regularly. You got to try to tell as many people as possible.
Right.
And yeah, like social, promoting social media is super important. Like I think there's not enough communication for like, especially in the bar scene. There's a lot of shows that aren't promoted properly by the venue and the musician, because it's a joint effort. And I feel like every bar, every restaurant has social medias and has social media people, and then the bars are paying the musicians, but then they're not actually promoting it. I feel like there's missed opportunity there, and that needs to be utilized more. Some people do a great job. Some restaurants, some bars have this promoting plan, and they do all the work, and the musicians just have to share the content. or vice versa. The musicians have great content they send out, and the bars just have to share it. And I think you'll look at those bars, and those bars seem to be the ones that have more music lovers that show up.
Right. And so you said you made an ad. Did you like a paid ad on Instagram for your drum lessons, or what were you doing?
I did it on Facebook for the drum lessons. I was trying to get people to come to my apartments here, because my new spot has room for a drum set, and it's got a walk up door. It's not like in a building or anything, so it's a really accessible place, accessible location, lots of parking. I'm like, well, let's see if we can get some clients at the home.
And so how did you go about setting up? Sorry, like this is so. My whole thing with these interviews, I try to pull a lot of social media information because, like, as you know, that's what I like doing. So, talk to me about that actually. So you built out an ad on Facebook, and is the ad finished running at this point?
It's finished running. Yeah, I did 15 days.
15 days. How much? Do you mind if I ask you how much you put in terms of how much you put the price for?
I think I put $300.
$300 for
I put a lot
15 days.
Yeah, I put a lot of money into.
Okay.
Yeah, essentially. So I put a lot of money into it because I did find I've done these in the past, and there's been like I'll put $50 over 10 days, or like $20 over a week, and then like I get like a few responses, but no real traction. There's one time I'm just like, screw it, and I put like $500 down, and then I was getting all sorts of comments, including people like, I see this ad too much. I'm like, good,
perfect.
Yeah, why don't you mute it if you don't like it, if you're not interested? I think I got one new client out of that. And to be honest, if you put in like $1,000, and if you put in $1,000 promotion and get one client that stays with you for a year, every time you put in $1,000, that promotion is worth it.
100%.
Like at the end of the day, you will build your business, because coming again, I still think the word of mouth is way stronger for building businesses in most scenarios, especially for teaching. Once you kind of get flowing with a full teaching schedule, it's just referrals at that point.
Right.
Especially parents, they like to talk to each other. They're always like, oh yeah, little Eric's taking drum lessons. How's that going? Oh, he loves it. Yeah, here's the guy's number. Here you go.
Right. And then
like people prefer to send their kids to people they know too. It's like, I'm also like, when it's like trying to advertise for a kid's service, it's like I'm also the person they don't know on the internet. It's like they'd rather find somebody that they know, they're familiar with.
100%, or go through a music school or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. When you're starting from scratch, it's like there is a lot of benefits to sponsored ads and helping to find those clients, those first clients, get the ball rolling.
And did you find with your ad were you? I guess you were able to select just the Ottawa area, correct? For like where
Yeah,
the ad was played and all that. Like you were able to optimize it to that point.
yeah, you're able to do a lot of things. You're able to target an area. You're able to target an age range, and you're able to target like keywords that would be like in people's profiles, I guess.
Right.
Um, like, like I think I targeted, like age range 30 to 50. So I was obviously looking for parents
100%.
of
Yep.
kids. Um, so I targeted that age range, and then I targeted specifically, within 20 kilometers of this location. Like any farther, you probably wouldn't want to come out this way.
Yep.
And then kind of like keywords. I think I did like children's learning, like music lessons, and then yeah, just probably like kids, something like that. So obviously, I'm targeting parents who have kids to
Right.
for these lessons, um, which. Yeah, I almost wish I spoke French because I'm right by the bridge to Gatineau.
Yeah.
probably there's probably a lot of people just across the bridge are like, oh, that's pretty close, but they probably prefer the lessons in French.
Yeah. Not from this
Oh no, that
English speaking peasant. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, no, that's fair. And so, do you mind me asking, so this most recent campaign, did you pull any potential clients or anything?
I actually not really. I pulled one, and then um, yeah, and then ironically, a bunch of people that I teach at Long and McQuaid, because I'm still teaching at the Long and McQuaid Hunt Club, kept telling me they saw my ad.
You're like, God damn it.
Like, no, I'm not targeting you guys, but I
Yeah.
pulled one, and then they said it's like, oh, actually, he changed his mind. We might contact you back in April. So the first running didn't actually pull any new clients. Actually, that's not true because there was one. There's one adult student I'm teaching. He's coming bi-weekly, and a mutual Facebook friend of ours uh, gave him my email saying I do drum lessons. Um, and there's a good chance that that person, who is someone in their 30s with kids, probably saw my ad. And it was probably
Yeah.
fresh in his mind when his buddy said, "Hey, do you know someone who does drum lessons?" I'm like, yeah, Chris, this guy,
Right.
this Chris guy, he does drum lessons." So there's a likelihood that that student actually did. I'm gonna say the ad worked, and that student came here because of the ad.
No, that's good. There you go. And so I follow you on Instagram, so I see the different content you post, and so I noticed there was a couple times you posted where you're just talking directly to the camera. You were in your car one time. I think you were going to a gig or something. Anyways, so in my research, whatever, just watching YouTube videos of like how to better your like connection with your audience. A lot of people are saying that building that personal connection with your audience via just talking, you know what I mean, like building that personal rapport with people, like really your own, like sharing your personality, via your channel, and I had a hard time with that at first, putting myself out there. That's why, camera's always facing down and it's facing the person when I'm doing my "Do you play guitars?" Recently now I have some more videos of me talking, and I'm just trying to get into that side of it to kind of crack through, get my personality on my channel. So I've seen you doing that, which I think is a great tactic, of course. But have you experimented with any other types of content on social media, like behind the scenes footage, maybe some live performances, Q&A sessions, and like for you, what yielded the best results, do you think?
Well, yeah, and as far as like Instagram and Facebook go for promoting my music, because majority of the last many years I've been almost strictly either a session player playing in other people's projects, where it's not really my job to do the full promotion, or just sharing their content, or as a bar musician where I'm getting paid and I just need to tell my friends to show up to this pub where I'm playing, or show my followers to just tell them where the pub is.
Right.
I've been really just the only two types of promotions I've done is just either making a little poster that says, for example, I play at Darcy McGee's a lot. I'll be like Darcy McGee's this date, music with Chris, or Chris Live, or Zimmy Live, or sometimes I was thinking of changing my cover band name to Zimmy for a little bit. I'm still kind of thinking maybe I'll do that since the original project is back to differentiate them. But
Right.
Now that the original project is up and running again, I'm starting to try to think about different ideas, and the question and answer thing is something that I did in my most recent preview video. That's one idea I had. I'm like, well, why don't before the release, I told the producer, I'm like, why don't we come over and you can film? You'll do a video thing of you interviewing me. And then we'll see how he feels about this. I haven't really talked about it, but I'd love to have Eric Eccleston pretend to interview himself and talk about producing the track. So content like that is stuff I'm starting to experiment with now, because now it's a little bit different when you're pushing your original music. You're pushing actual, like, go listen to me, go watch my videos, go, share this with your friends, add this to your playlist, and go see my shows and pay money to see my shows. It's tough when you play for free every other night of the week, but then you're like, no, I'm playing my music. Come pay $20 to see me. I feel like I am at a disadvantage for that, because people could see me the next night at, like, a bar for free.
Right. And are you still playing originals, I guess, or maybe we shouldn't tell people this, but are you playing some originals or it's mostly covers at the bars?
Almost never, unless someone I know comes out and they say, play this song, play the original song, and I won't play very many. The bar's full, and everyone's like, the bar's like, yeah. And my one friend's like, play all the way down. I'm like, no, I can't. Like, these people don't want to hear all the way down right now. But if it's an empty, quieter bar, and sometimes people get on board with that. If you're just sitting there on a Tuesday night drinking a beer with your significant other or whatever, just enjoying the music, and someone says, play an original, and you can look around and you'll see people in the bar. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, play your music. We would love to hear that. And then it's like, okay, well, all systems go. You guys want to hear it? Let's do it. But I mean, if it's on a Friday or Saturday night and people want to hear the standard pub tunes, you got to play the standard pub tunes if you want to get booked back and keep playing those gigs.
Yeah, you need Summer of '69 and Wonderwall. Let's go.
That's it.
Okay, and I guess we'll wrap it up here. I got one more for you. What advice would you give to an aspiring musician, especially those looking to make their mark in the local music scene in Ottawa?
Good question. I would say that, learn, be ready, put your ego aside. There's no stupid, dumb questions. Ask as many people as you can the same questions. Find the people that are doing the thing that you want to do, and try to interact with them. Try to, message them on social media, or go to their shows and talk to them between the sets or after their shows, and find out, get tips from them. My tip is to go get tips. That's funny. Yeah, it's just there's no standard. There's a lot of people that will say it's like, if you do this, there's usually people asking for your money that'll be like, what you want to do is you want to release this song this way, then do this kind of advertising campaign. There's no standard way to do this. There's no like, oh, if you do this, you will make it. You will make a living playing music. There's so many different avenues. You just got to find what avenue you want to go down. I would say the easiest to just make money is probably in pubs playing covers. But there's also there's a limited kind of shelf life. You can only get to a certain point with that. You'll always just be playing. You'll just be playing 200 times a year, playing in bars or playing private events during the summer. For the most part, you're not going to get to a point where you're touring or anything. You got to figure out what you want to accomplish, and find the people that are doing it, and try to copy them. that's just a long-winded way to say just like poppy people.
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
that's good advice, and I think yeah, I remember it's a lot about connections, in the city too, like who you know. I feel I don't know if that's true, but I feel like it is a lot about that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Community and networking is super important in music, and Ottawa is it's Ottawa's got a great musical and artistic community, and we all try to lift each other up. And there's different pockets and scenes. Not it's interesting because I find myself sometimes in between scenes because I got the original stuff and I got the covers. Um, the original scene, yeah, like you see a lot of artists promoting each other's stuff and going to each other's shows. Um, in the covers scene, we're all whereas our focus is a little bit more monetary because we're playing covers. We're more like trying to keep trying to establish like where's our minimum. We'll talk to each other and be like, okay, when we play at these venues, we don't want to play for under this amount of money. So we're all kind of on the same page. Like this is what every bar in town should be uh, getting paid. So we're not undercutting each other. And not every city is like that. You won't have those people talking and then agreeing to on stuff so like personal, like what you charge.
That's
And I
I
think that
never really thought about that. Sorry, not to cut you off. I just want to touch on that again.
yeah,
Like I didn't realize. I thought it would be the bars kind of making the prices, or sorry, yeah, to be like, hey, we'll give you a set amount for your show. But I guess it's more the musician coming in, being like, here's my this is what I can do. These are my performances. This is what I charge for a 2 hour set or 3 40 minute sets.
yeah. Well, it depends on the bar. Ottawa, it is kind of like there is like bars just say we pay our musicians this amount, and the musicians we try to advocate for like what we want that minimum amount to be, and we advocate together, um and we all try to like agree like there's certain minimums that there's certain standards, but you will go out. I will find like if I go outside of Ottawa a little bit and I approach a bar and I ask them, it's like, what is your going rate? I'll ask them, what do you guys usually pay your bands? They'll come back and be like, well, what do you charge? Because they're looking to like have depending on the musician, they're obviously looking to pay. They're not gonna pay you nothing, but they're like, oh, maybe this guy charges $100, so we'll just pay him $100 if he charges that. But yeah, but obviously when you go in those situations, it's obvious that every musician that comes in, they pay them all differently. Whereas, in Ottawa, I find the scenes, every musician tends to get paid the same. A lot of that is because the community all kind of agree that we should be getting paid a certain amount. And again, that's
Fair.
not a thing that happens. That's not a thing that happens in every community and scene and city. I think Ottawa is special. Like we have a more community feel than other music scenes.
That's pretty cool. I did not know that. That's an interesting point that we've touched on, like in the final minute. It was something I definitely wanted to touch on. I don't like talking like I like talking about the business side of things, but I obviously don't want to like talk about exact monetary values. But it was good to chat about that aspect because that was something that was interesting me. I was interested in. Sorry. And I guess this is a good point here if you want to like promote anything. The maybe 50 to 100 people that are going to see this interview. Uh, and then obviously, and then because man, my interviews aren't getting like many views, but that's okay. I'm starting out doing what I got to do. I got to get my feet wet, and slowly it'll build up over time.
I mean,
But
I've had two of my students, my younger like students who were teenagers, tell me that they saw me on your TikTok channel.
really, that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, two different people. I saw you on TikTok. I'm like, how? I'm not on TikTok. He's like, who's on the guitar guy thing? Like, I've got some fingers. Yeah, sweet.
No way. That's cool. That's good to know.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that off the top. Yeah,
Oh no, well, I'm glad it's making its way through the city. I'm hoping it becomes huge. And I reposted your video recently because still to this day it's one of my favorites, man. That fucking. Oh, anyways, I don't want. I've tried not to swear on these things, but yeah, the riff
that's
you laid
two.
down, yeah, that's the riff you laid down was ridiculous.
Funky.
Yeah, I was showing the
That was
guys
just
that were a couple of guys at work were like, "Oh, so like what like which one's like a really good one to watch?" I just scroll like go to yours. Or, usually, I'll just show yours right away. Um,
Awesome. That's actually how I play. When I switch keys, that's where I play. It is a D. That's where I play Superstition.
oh yeah,
The writing's on the wall. Very superstitious. I can't sing and melt the guitar
wow.
right now, but
That'd be a good talent. But yes, please go ahead and shout out whatever you would like to shout out at this point.
okay, yeah. All the Way Down is my next single. It's my first single since 2020. I don't know what, 2020 something. No, my first single since 2020. It's coming out on March 1st on all streaming platforms. Chris Zimmerman and the Weather on Spotify, Apple Music, everything, YouTube Music, and please stream it. You can pre-save it by going to my Instagram channel, hitting my the link in my bio. It'll be the first on the link tree. It'll be the first thing there. Pre-save All the Way Down. That would be amazing. And then listen to it. Let me know what you think. And then March 16th, I am playing at Queen Street Fair, which is on Queen Street, close to Bank, I believe. With I'm opening for the fantastic Ash Ravens and his band. And Ash actually recently did a song with Biff Naked, which is really cool. And I'm like, no way, you worked with Biff Naked. I love Biff Naked. But I'm really excited to be opening for him, and really excited to play Queen Street Fair because I've never actually played a gig there as a singer. So tickets are $20 and they're available now. You can visit the Queen Street Fair site if you'd like to purchase tickets. And that's probably about it.
Nice, man. Yeah, well, I hope a couple people go and go watch a show from seeing this. And yeah, man, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on. Good to chat with you. It's been a little while, so